Kevin, I was certainly surprised to hear his comments about Hillary Clinton, given that it was such a big rallying point during the campaign for him. My first thought was that he signaled he won't pursue investigating Hillary Clinton, but what does that mean when it comes to his allies or people, others in the Republican Party who also are against Hillary Clinton?
Well, two things. When I was traveling the country covering his campaign, what I heard first and foremost was that his supporters wanted a candidate who was willing to prosecute Hillary Clinton, but perhaps in the proverbial sense and not in the literal sense. And so what I'm hearing now today, and including from former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, is that President-elect Donald Trump is trying to position himself to give himself some wiggle room on this. Look, the Trump political orbit is pushing out that he has other issues that he would like to focus on, including infrastructure spending, a tax plan, and of course repealing Obamacare. And they're making the case that perhaps that's a bigger deal than prosecuting Hillary Clinton. Either way, this is somewhat of a walk back for President-elect Trump.
One other strong woman, and you're doing some reporting about this today, Janet Yellen, maybe in the crosshairs here. You've got sources talking to you about how the president-elect plans to fill Fed vacancies and how that might shape the Fed.
Well, I've got a story up that just posted on the Bloomberg terminal, and what it says is that two top Trump transition sources telling me that Donald Trump will be filling the vacant seats on the all-powerful Federal Reserve Board within the first 3 months of his presidency. And what that means, of course, is that this is going to dramatically reshape the Fed. It's going to present a political headache of sorts for outgoing Fed chairwoman Janet Yellen. And quite candidly, it's going to fill one of the positions, that key Federal Reserve banking financial regulatory supervisory position, which has been left vacant ever since its inception in 2010 under the Dodd-Frank law. So, look, the bottom line is that changes are coming, not only big sweeping changes in a regime, in an administration change, but also at the wonkier level. And the Fed is really going to have significant changes in a Donald Trump administration.
And that's a change that the president-elect could make within the first 3 months of office.
Yes.
So he's certainly putting it high on his to-do list. What else did we learn from the president-elect's meeting with the New York Times? He's made some comments regarding the Paris Climate Agreement, which sounds similar to his perhaps nuancing Obamacare and how he might keep some of the provisions. What did we learn there?
We learned that he thinks that climate change is there is some connection, he said, between climate change and human action. And I think that essentially what was interesting about this meeting in particular was that he actually discussed policy. I think that many in the public are sick and tired of this back and forth between Donald Trump and the media. And there are important conversations that need to be had about access and transparency with any president. But I really think what was interesting about this was when you take away the political theater of it, when you take away the tweeting and what have you, he actually did signal a willingness to work across the aisle on issues like climate change. And that fits, as you alluded to, a broader pattern that we saw start within his 60 Minutes interview, where he signaled that he would keep certain portions of the Affordable Care Act.
You talk about how they discussed policy, and he was a lot more specific than he had been on the campaign. Yet, when he met with media yesterday, some network executives and network anchors, that did seem like political theater, where he reportedly dressed them down for not giving him fair coverage during the campaign.
Absolutely. And of course, you're alluding to that New York Post report that came out and in which it described a very combative Donald Trump taking on the network heads. And, this was a contentious campaign. I was there for just about all of those rallies, and the media was clearly in the line of attack against the Trump campaign. And it was something that he ran against. And so I think that what he was able to do on the campaign trail was to run against a system, and in that system he lumped in institutional media. And I think that he was successful at that, and his supporters were successful at that. But now we're in a different campaign season. We're in a time of governing, and how he uses the media and his relationship with the media, which of course, freedom of speech, a bedrock of America, is going to be really interesting to see. But you talk to sources in the Trump political orbit, and they're describing this as a reset of sorts. So we'll have to see just exactly what that reset means.